Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm back with Fred again. This is becoming something of a habit, Fred. But this weather is not getting any better, so we thought we might do another video. The gear that we take out jet ski fishing and the prep that we do. I'm going to start with Fred's prep and Fred's gear, and he's going to take us through everything that we got here, right?
Yep, I'll go through.
Let's go through it.
All right. So obviously on the jet ski, I'll just open it up. Again, we've got V-sheet. Obviously, V-sheet. Toilet paper, the most essential of essentials.
You take toilet paper out to sea.
I do. I've been known to have to use it occasionally.
That'd make a good video.
And floating torch. The regulations changed in Queensland,
Correct.
and you have to have a floating torch. So ever-ready torch fits, and it fits nicely into that compartment which you don't actually use.
Got it.
All right. Obviously, I've got the battery, the 12-volt lithium battery in the back there. I'm not going to pull it out.
Yep.
And we've got the motor on. So then start off with obviously safety gear.
Let's have a look. Let me just take a bit of a look at overall here. There's a fair bit of stuff here. You can see why a lot of us fishers are using pods, because we get to this stage where we've got to carry, first of all, a lot of safety gear, but then be prepared for just about any type of fishing. So
And 4 rods.
And 4 rods, yeah. I've normally got 4 rods myself, plus my sabiki rod. So, all right. Sorry,
All right.
Over to you, Fred.
So obviously, number one is EPIRB. We always carry that. EPIRB flares, make sure they're in date. They have an expiry date, so you've got to check your flares. Obviously my light for the navigation, sunscreen.
Yep, sunscreen, definitely in Queensland.
Right.
Hey.
First aid kit, which I needed to use the other week, and I had to help.
And you didn't have any
Paul.
Band-Aids, or you couldn't find them?
Apparently, I didn't have Band-Aids, and I've got thousands now.
Oh. So that's in a dry bag by the look of it.
So, yep. So that's obviously first aid kit, and now it's there we go. And the other essential one, which I've actually, on the old ski, many years ago, featured with Paul because I had a problem, and it's a projector IntelliStart. So
Right, so
lithium
that's
battery jump starter.
Jump starter, right, okay.
So-
So if the battery goes flat, you've got a backup.
Jump starter and first aid kit go into the dry bag because that goes into the centre that's not waterproof.
Got it.
All right, from there, 2 tether ropes, spare rope in case we have to tow somebody one day.
Yeah, might happen.
We haven't had to do it yet, but it'll happen one day.
Yep.
And then obviously just tackle boxes.
Yeah. So
I've got rigs set up there with wire, with triples. I've got jigs set up there, just spinners, shiny lures.
Yep.
Everything in here, I've got lots of jigs. So all this gear goes into the pods.
Okay.
Lip grips, bait bag, and a
Braid scissors?
mustard braid cutter, so I don't have to use my sharp knife near my fingers.
Got it.
All right, copper wire, occasionally to tie bait on. Through, so when you're doing a dead bait or a live bait, sometimes you want to use copper wire.
Yeah, something to
Easiest thing to
bind
use.
the bait to the
Yep.
hook or to the rig. Yep.
Yep. Obviously, little bait net.
So that's for your live bait. the
Live
scoop.
bait.
Yeah,
Okay.
certainly a live bait net. I found it's sometimes it's impossible to hand grab the fish. They're too
Yes.
fast. So yeah, you definitely need a little bait net when things get a
Yep.
bit tough, or the bait are a bit anxious.
Yep, 100-pound and 50-pound leader.
You're going pretty heavy there.
Well, big fish.
Yep.
And then chewy mint bags. Bottles. They are fantastic because they're waterproof and you can put your fittings in them, swivels, and they don't rust. So,
Yeah, nice.
well, obviously a little drone you can throw out.
Drogue chute. Yep.
A
That's,
bucket.
I guess, we don't generally use them much, especially now if you've got a trolling motor, Fred, but they're a great safety thing. So in case you do break down at sea, you're on your own, you need to sort of, if you're waiting for the rescue, you probably need to keep that ski into the weather, into the waves.
Yes.
And so you can put that out the front and keep the ski punching through the chop
Yep.
of the waves.
Obviously, I'm a jet ski, so this is my about 6mm rope. There's about
What's that for, sorry?
this can be used for many things. It can be used with my anchor.
Right.
Again, plastic anchor works really well. it's lightweight. It also can attach to a bit of lead.
So you've got a downrigger.
Downrigger. So that just clips on there if I want to. So multi-purpose. For my kayaking days, it's a manual bilge pump.
Okay, yep.
So that always goes in there. And believe it or not, this is an anchor spike for a umbrella. But if you turn it into the sand, you can hook up your ski and it will not pull out in sea sand.
Yeah, which is pretty handy to keep your ski off the shore and a little bit of chop, or at the ramp where there's a bit of rocks and things.
Yep.
If you had to leave the ski unattended for a bit.
Essentials.
Gaff.
Gaff. And then something that I've just started playing with because I'm tired of my jigs, live jig baits getting caught, is a jig saver.
So you've got your sabiki rig pre-rigged and you can stow it away.
In there, and you just use a little clip at the top.
Yeah. That's
So
just a little 20 mil pipe or something,
Yep.
25 mil pipe.
And so then I can use a normal rod and I don't have to take out a fifth rod for a sabiki rod.
Gotcha.
My, obviously, sinkers, obviously a bag here for any good fish that I catch. And this bag here, I just normally throw my ice and everything in there. I actually don't pre-fill my fish bag.
Mm-hmm.
I only pull it out if I actually catch something because I put my fish bag right up in the nose and it's out of the way.
Great. Wow, there you go. Did we miss something? What's that little black bag? Is that just a storage just down there?
This is a bucket.
Oh, a foldable bucket.
Foldable bucket.
Which I think is rules in some states in Australia. You actually have to carry a collapsible baling bucket.
Yep.
In some states. So yeah, very nice. You're using a offshore self-inflating?
165 manual inflation.
Manual inflation,
You cannot use the auto inflate on a jet ski because you go through spray and water all the time. And the last thing you want to do is have it deploy whilst you're riding.
Great.
I'll show you, once I put all that stuff in there, how much space there is. So if you want to jump on board.
All right, so there's still a fair bit of space there, isn't there?
Yep. Obviously that's empty. And on the other side, I've got the blue bag. So this blue bag here gets filled with ice, but the whole tray is still all empty. And yeah, lots of room.
So that's all Fred's equipment, and it's my turn, and I'll show you the different products and accessories and fishing tackle that I take out on the ski, and we'll explain why, and you'll see some differences. You know, there's common things we take out, like the safety equipment, and but I'll show you the different items that I take and why. All right, so first of all, anchoring. Not often we need to anchor, but when we do, it's good to have a decent anchor, and I chose the Cooper's black anchor. It's a little bit bigger than the blue, and the reason I found I needed this one over the blue is that I couldn't hold the bottom in a little bit of current in anything over depths of about 10-15 metres. So, you know, I went to the bigger anchor and it's been pretty good. Not that I use it a lot, but I have used it you know, once fishing on a inshore reef and in about 20 metres. I've got a fair bit of anchor rope, as you can see, and I've also used it when I ran out of fuel and I was waiting for the VMR, so it comes in very handy. So at the end of the day, I'm using like an electrical cable coiler for my rope, 2 metres to 3 metres of chain back to the anchor, and of course you fix it on the bottom here. You use a cable tie at the top in case it does get snagged and you can't remove it. You can break the cable ties with a bit of force and it will then pull from here and pull the anchor out from this angle and get it out of the snag. I use this style of PFD. It's not a inflating style, you know, either self or manual. The reason I use this type of PFD is that if I'm on my own, I'm offshore and I was to come off the ski, I came off from riding and I was separated from my ski and I was knocked unconscious, then I certainly want my PFD to be working, and a manual inflation is a little bit risky in my mind. The other thing I also do is I use a PLB, not a EPIRB like Fred. I use a PLB. The PLB is basically a personal locating beacon. It sits in its pouch inside my pocket here. This is a fold down antenna, wraps around. A bit hard to do this with one hand, but it wraps around and clips in, deploys. Once it's deployed vertically there, you can hit the emergency button and it will notify authorities. Of course, this is your last line of defence. It's only to be used in severe emergency, but it's there, so it makes me feel very safe. So you should test these things every couple of months to make sure the battery and the electronics are still working, which I do that. It's very simple test procedure. It's written on the back what to do. Okay, now if I was ever to deploy the PLB, I would want to make sure I can't contact the shore. In this pocket, I often carry a handheld VHF radio. I used to use a handheld before I had the installed VHF, so I now will carry that, not all the time, but most of the time if I'm on my own, I'll make sure I carry the VHF radio. That gives me the first, I guess, line of defense to be able to call, if I call somebody if I've been separated from my ski, and then if I can't raise anybody, as you know, handheld VHF radios aren't very good with distances, but if I can't call somebody, then I have my last line of defence, of course, will be the PLB. The other safety equipment which is mandatory in our state and most states in Australia, of course, is flares. These are brand new, so they're definitely in date. V-sheet, definitely a requirement by law. And what I also carry, as you probably heard before, is a jump starter pack, which is I've used several times, not on myself, but on other boats, skis and cars, so very handy. That was only like a $70 eBay special, and it's been invaluable. I don't carry a lot of medical like Fred does. I just carry a small little kit, a few band-aids, a little bit of alcohol swab. I plan not to, if I get hurt, not to be out in the water too long. And I also have, of course, a floating torch, a few little bags just to wrap things up, like the jump starter goes in a lipo guard bag, just in case the lithium batteries for some reason decide to catch fire. That gives me a little added protection and maybe a little bit more time. Okay. Other safety equipment would be my tow rope. I always have a tow rope there, some nice big shackles on the end. So if we ever have to tie two skis together for towing, or even just tying together because somebody's going to have to jump on somebody else's ski for some reason, it's great to have them lashed together so they don't drift away. So now let's run you through some of the fishing gear that I take out. Okay, pliers. I have some big beefy pliers. These are the sort of things that you would want to use for cutting hooks out of your finger or pulling on them, and they're quite good because they've got the opener, so I can actually gang hooks together using this tool to open the eyes of the hooks. That one's normally just tucked away in one of my tubbies. I don't use it very often on the water, but it's there in case I need it. Then I have normal pliers, split ring. They've got a little split ring thing on the end. They're not great. I've got another pair that I actually attach to my PFD, so they're always handy if I need them. And then of course a D hooker. This is my large D hooker. We're actually working on a design that sort of is probably a combination of many designs, and I'll show you those when they're made. It'll give me the ability to push and pull hooks easily, and then a little bit of length to keep away from some of those toothy critters. I have a sabiki rod. It's fold up. The sabiki lures go down the tube. You've probably seen me catching live bait with these before, and I've been through a few reels on these, and the reason is that in my tubbies they're not completely waterproof, so some water comes in through some of the rod holders, and I have lost a lot of reels through salt in there. Current one I've got on there is a low-cost Torium 14, doing the job beautifully. That I actually bought that for jigging, but I've found that I probably only need one jigging rod, and so this has gone back on the sabiki rod for now. So this is my catch bag. It's 1.5 meters long, just a zip up. It's pretty tough though. One of the things you need in a good catch bag is it to be quite solid, sturdy, good zips on it. Inside it's quite a tough material, so any of the sharp spiky fins in snapper, or big teeth on mackerel, it's pretty hard to protrude this, so this is going to last a lot longer than my last bag. Now as I said, it's 1.5 meters long. That's about the most of the fish that we catch are probably biggest are under that size, but I could fit about a 1.5 meter fish in my tubby, so I have had the occasion where the tail's sticking out the back of the bag. But still, it's great if you put ice in that. inside the tubby, it'll last all day easily. Of course, a gaff, I'm using a diamond gaff now. This is from Rustler Products. I actually sell those occasionally when I've got them in stock. I put a couple of floats on it because it's quite a nice stainless construction. You see the diamond shape. It makes it really easy for gaffing. Instead of having to get the circle of a gaff right under the fish, this one you can just lean down and it's sort of at the right angle, as you can see, to catch anything. Also allows you to gaff fish in the lip if you want to release them, or you just don't want to damage your fillets. Yeah, they're quite good. Using a longer gaff too, because the reach from ski down to water, you want to be a little bit away from the fish in case it does do something crazy. And secondly, you don't want to have to lean right over and maybe potentially unbalance the ski. And because I've got tubbies, I've got to sort of lift over the top of those anyway, so I need a little bit of a longer reach. In Queensland, we're allowed to fish between sunset and sunrise. Other states in Australia, they're not allowed, but we have to use navigation lights, the usual red, green at the front of the ski, and then an all-round white light. And this is my solution, just a rail blazer. Goes into a rod holder, does the job, very nice. All right, so some of the gear, of course, sunscreen, hats are a must in our state. I've got fair skin, so my skin burns pretty easily, and it's had a lot of damage over the years, so I have a wide-brimmed hat when the sun comes up. I'll use a cap when I'm going out early morning, just because of the wind when I'm traveling at speeds. Will pull the hats off pretty quickly, but my cap seems to stay on. Most of the time I'm using gloves. These fingerless gloves are great because you don't lose some of your tactile, I guess your grip. So you can tie knots, you can feel your controls on your ski, and of course you can use your touchscreen on your phone. But I do have a full set of gloves which I hardly use, and these are in case I do get maybe one day I'll hook a marlin and I want to hold it and take some pictures, and I'll be putting a completely full glove on. So the other really essential tool I have is a little sabiki dehooker. And when you're catching bait on your sabiki rig, I see most people trying to pull the fish off with their fingers, and it takes too long. And this little dehooker, I can get the fish off really quickly, and I don't have to even touch the bait. So at the end of the day, they last longer in the live bait tank. If you touch some fish, they'll lose scales. This one I don't even have to handle the fish. As far as fishing gear goes, it depends on the season and what we're targeting. We'll have a little bit of a plan, I guess, generally to know what sort of fish we're going to be targeting in any particular trip, because we're going to choose where we're going to go and fish. I'll normally have a couple of leader rolls in my tubby, from 40 through to probably 80 pound leader, and I'll fish as light as I can, but sometimes you just really need to put the big stuff on. All right, as far as lures go, it's currently it's that sort of mackerel season, so I've got a big combination of hard bodies. I've got some live bait rigs that I've pre-rigged up, and I'm using these Systema boxes now because they've got a really nice rubber seal and they can keep a lot of water out, whereas some of these Decor things, great, they're cheap, but it's quite easy to knock the lid off and water can get in, and then you've got a big mess to clean up. So obviously inside of my little boxes, various things, hooks. I don't take too many again in case I get any water in it. I don't want to kill all my gear, but I'll normally have some good swivels and hooks, pre-made rigs, a couple of extra lures that I've purchased and never used, but they're there in case. Squid lure if the squid come on, and then I'll probably choose particular jigs that I'm going to use in a day, and I won't take all my jigs with me. I'll just say, well, we're going to be fishing XYZ depth. I'll need probably need half a dozen jigs of 100 to 200 grams, and I'll throw them in my box here so that they're easy to get a hold of. And rubber bands, you'll see me using rubber bands. I've got some bio rubber bands. If I'm using live bait, I'll rig up some of my live bait using a rubber band so that I can keep them alive a lot longer. Okay, a little bit of sinkers. Not a big, bottom fishing heavy sinker person. I tend to go a lot lighter, so I've got a few little, I guess, teardrop sinkers which I use a lot on live baits as paternosters, and I put them in a little old plastic container, keep the water out. A few ball sinkers, of course, again, for various rigs. And then I have a roll of lures here which rarely get used. Now in there you'll see I've got some trolling skirts, a couple of hard bodies, etc. I rarely open this up, and it's there if we're not doing very well and we want to try and troll some of these around, or we're targeting specific species. It might be a wahoo, mahi or marlin, which I've never caught a marlin yet. I've hooked one, but I've never landed one, but I might put some skirts out for those, of course. This particular bag is a roll-up bag, and I put it into a little waterproof plastic pouch as well, just so I can keep the salt water off that. Last but not least, I have got a hand line here which I can use for a release weight. The release weight is a big hunk of lead with a hook facing downwards, and the idea is that if you get a fish that's got barotrauma, you can put this through its lip and drop this hand line over the side, and it'll drag the fish down to a depth where hopefully the pressure will equalize on its swim bladder and it will swim off. So I could drop it 20 meters down and then pretty much just yank this hook up, and the fish will be released from this hook. So it's something that all fishermen should really carry. Now the good thing about it being on a hand line is that I can actually very quickly take the snap clip off, and I'll put my squid lure on. And it's happened when I've been out there that a squid's followed my bait up, and I can quite easily throw the squid lure on, throw it over the side and catch the squid as well. One thing to always remember is that jet ski fishing, you're going to lose gear over the side, so keep it tethered. Everything you can, tie it down. It's going to fall off, roll off into the water. I've lost so many things, it's not funny. Also, tether your rods and reels to the ski, not to the rod holder. I've learned that the hard way. I've had a rod holder weld fail on an earlier jet ski rack. And of course, reels get trashed by the salt penetrating them when you're traveling at speed. So, reel covers came out of that. We sell these now, and they've been a godsend. The other thing I think you'll notice too is my equipment is a lot different to Fred's generally in terms of fishing gear. Everybody has their own choices, and I've chosen things through my own personal experiences. He's done his, and that's something you don't have to have certain things or certain types of equipment. Think about what you're doing, where you're fishing, choose what you like, and you'll have more fun doing it. So thanks again for joining us, and I'll see you next time.